I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a way better fighter than Terrence Crawford. Who has you fought? The only name fight you fight is Yorgos Gamboa, the guy that you fought.
I would be the first male boxer to actually capture the welterweight champion in 2 divisions, and that would solidify me as the greatest fighter of this era.
Definitely not, man. I'm not gonna lie, Tyron got the best matchmakers in the business. You ain't fought nobody, man. You haven't beat anybody.
Better puncher when it goes down. Crawford got 10 knockouts in a row, but Spence looks like the heavy-handed, natural.
10 knockouts in a row against who?
14 knockouts in his last fights, stopped everyone at welterweight. How do you also prepare for power that perhaps Terrence Crawford?
Man, who the fuck he fought, man? What you talking about, man?
You know what? I think I'm going to change my channel name from Expressive Sports TV to Receipt Sports TV. Because I keep coming with these receipts. Now, I got a couple questions to ask, right? Where was Blue Blood Sports TV when Errol Spence Jr. was disrespecting Terrence Crawford? Oh, I'm sorry. He was right with him. Where was Dante's Boxing Nation? Oh, this man is so pro-black that he chose to make the decision because it's black and black violence. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about Errol Spence Jr. continuously disrespecting Terrence Crawford. But what I am going to talk about is Lomachenko franchise bill and Canelo Alvarez franchise bill. That's what this man was doing around them times. Where was Fagnon? Fagnon was right where he always is, on Terrence Crawford nuts. Where was Ego? The same place, just on the right one instead of the left. It's so funny now that the rabbit got the gun and he's shooting pure blanks. Everybody's scattering. Because Terrence Crawford was not trying to be malicious when he said what he said about Errol Spence Jr. At all. He was not trying to inflict real damage on what he said about Errol Spence Jr. The man said that he does not believe and he doesn't know if Errol Spence Jr. would make the Hall of Fame with this amount of accolades that he had. He called Errol Spence Jr. He said that the fans called Errol Spence Jr. a weight bully. And then he started talking about a couple of his wins. Now I'm going to dive in what Terrence Crawford said. Because Terrence Crawford did, that the fans try to ignore, he did said this, that he's been watching Errol Spence Jr. since the amateurs. He was a big fan of Errol Spence Jr. He even went as far as stating that he even received an autograph from Errol Spence Jr. So Terrence Crawford was not trying to be malicious in any way, shape, or form. He was just stating the facts. Errol Spence Jr. would not be a Hall of Famer if he hang it up today. Because a lot of people don't know this about Errol Spence Jr. And I'm going to give you a history lesson. Errol Spence Jr. is a 2 weight division fighter. He fought in 2 weight divisions. He started his career at 154 pounds. For those who don't believe me, the receipt is right here. Errol Spence Jr. made his debut at 154 pounds against a guy named Jonathan Garcia at the junior middleweight division. Not at 147 pounds, not at welterweight, junior middleweight. That is 154 pounds. Errol Spence Jr. proceeded to have like 5 fights at 154 pounds, and then he moved down to 147 pounds. So you started at that weight class, and you didn't achieve anything, and you just moved down to 147 pounds. When he went back to 147 pounds, he consistently missed weight. This is the receipt. My name is Receipt Sports TV after today. Look, he consistently missed weight. Consistently. So when Terrence Crawford said the fans call him a weight bully, they were not lying. Errol Spence Jr. is literally a weight bully. 156 pounds is crazy. And if you put a microscope over his career and you dive in his career, we could go chronological order. Kell Brook, right? We know Kell Brook got stopped by Triple G, got his eye socket broken, and had to cut 13 pounds to go face off against Errol Spence Jr. at 147 pounds, where he was already facing an eye injury. And Errol Spence Jr. went 12 rounds with that, went 10 rounds with that Kell Brook. So I don't know how much credit that he can get from that win when this man was literally coming off of a loss and an eye injury. I don't know how much credit he could get from that fight, but it is what it is. I give him credit for that fight. And if you look at Mikey Garcia, which is Errol Spence Jr.'s biggest win, 135 pounder is Errol Spence Jr.'s biggest win. And he still couldn't stop little Mikey. he still couldn't stop. And I'm gonna be honest, Mikey Garcia did have a rehydration clause on Errol Spence Jr. But it's to show you what happens when you put a rehydration clause on this man. It shows you what happens when you put a rehydration clause on this man. You feel me? So Mikey Garcia was his biggest win, and he wasn't able to stop him. And then we got Shawn Porter. We witnessed Kell Brook, before Kell Brook suffered an eye injury, defeated Shawn Porter. Majority decision. We witnessed Keith Thurman unanimously defeated Shawn Porter. We witnessed Terrence Crawford knocked out Shawn Porter. So you witnessed 2 of the top welterweights beat Shawn Porter, gave you the blueprint, and you were the only one that beat Shawn Porter via split decision? Via split decision, and Shawn Porter was dropped in that fight. And a lot of people still thought you lost. And this is before Errol Spence Jr. suffered the car accident. So how good is Errol Spence Jr.? Why should he be in the Hall of Fame? Because of Danny Garcia? That hasn't done anything at the welterweight division besides winning a vacant belt? Ugas? Who? He's not a Hall of Famer, guys. He's not a Hall of Famer. He is not. People said that he did most of the heavy lifting. That is a lie. That is a lie. How you gonna say he do most of the heavy lifting when Keith Thurman beat Shawn Porter and he beat Danny Garcia? How you gonna say that? How you gonna say that when Kell Brook defeated Shawn Porter? What heavy lifting are you talking about? Ugas? What heavy lifting are you talking about? He ain't do no heavy lifting, gang. Terrence Crawford did the heavy lifting. He stopped every single welterweight in the division. Errol Spence Jr. didn't do that. The only fighter that he stopped that was a notable welterweight was Ugas. And Kell Brook. Come on, guys. He's not a welter. He's not a Hall of Famer, bro. He's just not. So all of these content creators that came out, they're trying to sit here and try to contradict what Terrence Crawford is saying. Make sure you tell the fans this. Things that they don't know about Errol Spence Jr. That this man is not a true 147 pounder. He started his career at 154 pounds and struggled with guys that was moving up in weight class, like a guy like Terrence Crawford. Like, come on, bro. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not a Hall of Famer. But I just have to sit here and give y'all a little bit of history lesson on why Errol Spence Jr. is not a Hall of Famer. And a lot of these content creators, they don't know shit about boxing. They just know, a lot of them just know how to race bait, and a lot of them just know how to talk shit all day. They don't know nothing about boxing. They don't know nothing about these fighters. Because they would think Errol Spence Jr. started his career at 147 pounds. But they don't know that he's a 154 pounder, and he has not yet to revisit that weight. Terrence Crawford beat Errol Spence Jr. so bad that Errol Spence Jr. has not got back in the ring for 2 years. How is this man a Hall of Famer? What Hall of Famer you see that does shit like that? Come on, brother, man. We got to keep it real, bro. This is not a popularity contest. This is just truth. There's a lot of fighters that made it to the Hall of Fame that doesn't belong in there. Errol Spence Jr. will be one of them if he makes it in. He will be one of them. Triple G will be one of them. Because Triple G ain't do shit. That nigga ain't do shit. And a lot of people say he's a Hall of Famer. So there's a lot of guys that doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame that is going to go there. But Terrence Crawford is telling you what he believes, that Errol Spence Jr. is not a Hall of Famer. Not to Hall of Fame standard today, his standards of what a Hall of Famer is. Errol Spence Jr. wouldn't make the Hall of Fame. And that's true. He would not. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Share this video if y'all enjoy this content. And I'm out.